All right, you want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
Well, good evening, everybody. I guess I got myself off of mute here. It is another Saturday, and welcome to another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee, and we got pretty much what's going to probably be a very short show tonight here because of a couple of things that's still going on, but we'll get to that here shortly. I just want to welcome everybody in here and get through a couple of things nonetheless here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get through the business ends of things here, such as, where did it go? Where did it go, George? Where did it go? There it is. We got Stupid O'Clock happening if we go into a second hour, which I highly doubt, here at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's followed up by Last Man Standing at 1. Then you get a little bit of a respite until Monday morning with Nevermind the Furthermore here. And let's not forget about Comic Book Spectrum. Comic Book Spectrum is going to be live on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in addition to that, let's also not forget about the Multiverse Fundraiser, where we're going to be on next Sunday. We're going to be on next Sunday at 1 p.m. for that fundraiser here. We got the Classic 5 Scar, and he said, can I get mod? No, I have no idea who you are, so no, you cannot be a mod, but I am happy that you are here nevertheless. So on that note, let me go back and make certain that we cover everything in the beginning here. We have the Multiverse Fundraiser here on the Phoenix Sisters channel at 1 p.m. next Sunday. Not this upcoming Sunday, but next Sunday. So on that note, we are here, we're ready, and that brings us to new comic book pickups for the week here. And we got a pretty decent stack of books here, and we're just going to go through them real quick here, and then we're going to do a couple of updates, and we might call it a day from there. But we're going to start out new comic book pickups for the week with Cadillacs and Dinosaurs #1 from Kitchen Sink here. Now, I believe I got another Cadillacs and Dinosaurs coming here from Epic, which is up under the Marvel imprint here, coming in shortly. But we have Cadillacs and Dinosaurs right here. That's a brand new pickup. Then we got a whole bunch of Razor books that we're going to go through here. We got #1 for the Burn series here, Razor Burn. That's the first issue of that. Then we got issue #3 of from the Torture run, and then from volume 1 we got issue #6, the 0, 14, 15, 16, 21, 24, and 32. So that's all of the Razor pickups that we got this week, came in this week. And then we got some missing issues of the Inhumans from volume 2. We ended up getting issue 11. No, excuse me, issue 10, 11, and 12. Oh, thank you so much for the sub here for Design Company. I'm happy that you subbed up here. Thank you so much. So we got those 3 Inhumans that came in here. And then we got some of the ElfQuest runs, or early issues of ElfQuest from the Epic imprint up under Marvel. We got issue number 2, issue number 3, issue number 4, issue number 5, issue number 6, and issue number 8. So we got the majority of the beginning of the run of ElfQuest up under Marvel. We're going to follow that up with Daredevil 181. This is the death of Elektra, and this is Frank Miller artwork on this particular issue here. We're going to follow that up with a couple of issues of Outsiders. We got Outsiders 42 and 43. This is from volume 3 of Outsiders. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. That's what we're here for. This show is primarily for collectors and other creators and anybody that's love comic books, because what I try to do is try to give you a view of what it's like to be on the other side of this of the table here. When you go to conventions and everything, when you talk to creators and stuff like that, this is what From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher does here. So the shout out is nothing. You know, it is what it is. I'm just appreciative of having you here interacting with me. Then we got another copy of issue number 1 of Empress. And then we got the first 2 issues of Hit Girl, issue number 1 and issue number 2. And then my kind of like 2 favorite issues dealing with Superman here. We got Action Comics 592 and 593 again. And then I finally got my copy of, this is considered volume 2 here, of Night Nurse, but it is the reprinting of the first 4 issues from the 1970s plus Daredevil number 80. So this is something that I'm happy that I have here until I get able to get the originals here. Thank you so much here. You know, I appreciate the love here. So we got those 2 here. That, or at least that, all in one nutshell. This was originally, I think it was like, yeah, $7.99, but this book has gone up in value because it brought back a classic 70s character to the Marvel Universe. Then we got Planet She-Hulk number 1. This is the version cover of that. This might end up getting graded. And then we got a whole big block of New Mutants books. I think the rest of this set is, no, it's not, yeah, the rest of this is all New Mutants. So we got New Mutants on the coming up here. So we got issue number 7 from volume 1, issue number 10 for volume 1, issue number 21 from volume 1, issue 37, issue 38, 39, 40, 46, 47, 48. I need to get another copy of 49 because there's a staple right in the middle of there here. So that was 49, 50, 51, 52, 54. Yeah, there's a big lot of this here. 55, 57, 58, issue number 60 during the Fall of the Mutants here. 61. I think this is the tail end of that. 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 70, 71, 73, 79, 83, 84, 92, and then we got New Mutant Special number 1, and from volume 2, issue number 12 of that run of New Mutants here. But yet, that does not end tonight's new comic book pickups for the week, because we end up having 2 magazines here. We got Eerie number 54, and then this is kind of rare. Double Impact magazine is a rare one, because there is a comic by Double Impact, and they actually made a magazine version of it as well. So this is kind of like a rare book, Double Impact magazine here. In addition to that, we end up getting some 2600 cartridges as well, which is Video Pinball, which is 1, Super Sports Pinball, Brainstorming. Oh, yeah, Barnstorming, I should say, not Brainstorming, Barnstorming, and the classic Atlantis. This is the original Atlantis cartridge before it became New Atlantis later on in the print run of that here. And it looks like we got Elaine in the house here, so she made it at the tail end of new comic book pickups for the week. And that's pretty much it for new comic book pickups for the week and everything that came in this week. We got more books coming in and everything. We try to have books coming in each and every week here. I'm not a comic book dealer. I'm more of a publisher, but my personal collection is pretty much what it is. You know, it is what it is for right now. So on that note, we're going to switch gears over to the updates for those who've been following the key books that are in my collections here. No updates on the Film Force front here. No new additions on there. No new additions for the X-Men, even though I know for a fact I'm going to get more volume 6 issues in here shortly. No new updates on from the 1991 X-Men series on as far as the volumes are concerned here. No new updates on that. Mr. Miracle, I'm still looking for issues 19, 23, and 24. There are going to be more Wonder Woman books coming in shortly here below issue number 147 here. So the magic number of 108 will be dropping here soon. And we did complete volume 8 last week, so I'm expecting that we're going to try to either collect volume 4 to volume 5 to find the issue number 6 for volume 5, and try to get the last three issues for volume 7 here shortly. And that is the update for the major side of my collection here. You know, I do have long runs of X-Men, Wonder Woman, and all these other kind of niche titles more so than anything else here. So that's kind of like the stuff that I'm really like hunting for as of right now. And that brings us to the overall company update. As I stated before, and where is my graphic here? Oh, I don't have my graphic anymore. Well, pretty much. We're going to be at booth 829 at C2E2 this year. I have sent off to the printers 3 different covers for Legends of the Giantess Slayer. That's in the printer's hand as of right now. And for those who did buy Primetime Saturday at Night issue number 5, whether it be the regular A cover or the foil cover, we have gotten the corrected, we gained the corrected versions in hopefully shortly. So if you did buy one of those that had missing text on pages, just stop by the booth here. I just going to give you a good copy of it because I want you to read the story and everything. And for those who don't know which books I'm talking about here, we're talking about, this is the actual full version of issue number 5 of Primetime Saturday Night. And we have the A cover right here. So if you bought one of these 2 books from me at C2E2 or from our company store, let me know as soon as they come in. I would go ahead and ship it to you, but you do have to prove that you have it. You have to bring it and show it to me, or at least show me some type of physical proof that you own the original one where it had the errors, and I'll just go ahead and replace it for free to you, where you don't have to buy another copy to get the full entire story here. Then on top of that, I believe we got so we got those printed off. I believe Elaine Haygood would have In the Coming of Night there at the show here, plus a couple of art prints and her novel The Enslaved here. We will also have graded sketch covers that we have done in the past and graded copies of our books there as well. So this would be a perfect opportunity for you to visit us at C2E2 to get your CGC Studios comic fix all in one fell swoop here. So now we're going, with that being stated, we're just going to go into the topic here, and pretty much it's just random stuff that's been happening. And that's why I say it's going to be a short show, because I really don't have much of anything to say here, because I've been so wrapped up and busy trying to get everything ready for C2E2 for March 27th. And the reason why I haven't been really focused on different topics dealing with comics, and one of the things that I saw from Swaggle Halls, it was the last thing that I was watching was something to the effect that there was somebody that says that collectors are poor. And I'm up there like, oh, really? That's going to be interesting. But yep, I'm not going to be dragged into that type of, if I could say, behavior as far as justifying whether what he said or what he didn't say is correct here. Yep. And some thank you items will be free with purchase. Cool. And that's directly from Elaine. She's telling you what's going to be what at C2E2 here. But looking at the simple fact that they use that as their talking point, or the talking point on the video itself here, I don't think it's about collectors being poor. It's more along the lines of the state of the community. The state of the comic book collecting community is getting more and more fractured as we speak here, because you got those who collect because of the monetary aspect of it. You got those who collect because of the art aspect of it. You got those who collect that just truly love the stories. And then you got people who just collect because of the hell of it. Let's just be honest. People just collect stuff because it's just the hell, just for the hell of it here. Now, I'm one of those people that I'm a longtime fan of certain characters and certain storylines. Like, I'm a big Wonder Woman fan. That's one of the reasons why I'm sharing with you my journey to finish up Volume 1. And for people who don't know, it's like I'm that person that has, like, the reason I brought it up because I have from issue 147 to whatever issues that came out now. That's how deep my Wonder Woman collection is. Same thing pretty much with X-Men up into like volume 4 or 5. I have everything from the 1961 number 1 to the end of volume 4 without missing an issue, and then volume 3 without missing an issue, and then sporadic issues of volumes 4, 5, and 6, because that's when I fell off at X-Men, because it wasn't the same type of stories that were being told in the past year. But now, since I'm getting back into making certain that run is still contiguous, and making certain that I at least have one of each and every issue, that's the kind of like the main thing, that for the hell of it type aspect of it, not because I just loved what they're doing in it. Wonder Woman, I do. Not so much with the Tom King run, but for the majority of what happened over the years, I like what they was doing. You know, the same thing with X-Men, same thing with Mr. Miracle, the same thing. You know, I'm slowly gravitating towards finish collecting like Challengers of the Unknown and stuff and comics of that nature here. And most of my collection is made up of more female-led titles than, you know, just in general. It's like, do I have Fantastic Four? Yes. Do I have Daredevil? Yes. Do I have Batman? No. I have Catwoman, but I don't have Batman. And it's like, you know, I'm not a big Batman fan at all. You know, I'm not a big Superman fan, so I don't have a lot of Superman stuff. But, you know, my collection, you know, wavers from you know, book to book to book to book here, depending on what characters, what storylines and stuff that I like. You know, determines whether or not I collect the series or if I just get sporadic issues. And when I collect sporadic issues, it is what it is. But getting back to the whole topic that they was talking about, is like, it gets to the point where in modern comics now, because there's so much FOMO because of the concept of having the hobby fund itself, it drives people to kind of make, if I could say, bad decisions as far as what they collect here. Because if you collect based upon having the hobby fund itself, you also have to understand that you have to also take the catch and release principle, which means that you get the book in and everything, you get what you like here, you hold on to it long enough where it reach a peak value and you release it back into the wild, you sell it to another collector. And if you're one of those ones that's like, I gotta constantly upgrade the issue, it works out even better because you sell the one that you already own to buy a better one down the line, and it kind of works out. But eventually you're going to end up in a situation that I am. What happens when you have all the stuff that you want? There's not much new stuff that's coming out there that might be as valuable. So, you know, the whole concept of having a hobby fund itself doesn't really fit anymore. In my case, I buy stuff and try to preserve it to have some type of an archive where eventually, if I decide to do like museum exhibits and everything for people to come in to see the vast history of a character or a series, it can be done. That's a whole different aspect. But to say that we're poor because we're not willing to pay these, you know, exuberant prices for one book, especially in the modern age here, because you have to think about it. When you're being marketed, you know, 1 in 50, 1 in 100s, 1 in 200s, you know, one per store covers in that aspect, it is meant to play on the fear of a collector, to say you need this because this is too unique. But as I said before, the uniqueness is not the issue. The uniqueness is the cover. And if you buy comics based upon art, then you're really building what I consider a poor man's art gallery. Because a lot of times, you know, most artists today don't use the Bristol board, this big old white page right here. They don't use Bristol boards and everything to that magnitude where you could go and buy the Bristol board, buy the one of one original of the Bristol board, or buy the one of one inking of that page or of that cover like you did back in the day. Most work is done digitally, and therefore you're limited to prints and everything. And buying prints is perfectly fine here. But the thing about it is, do a lot of people keep up with those prints? Do they end up in landfills or get trashed after so long, this, that, and the other? Is it really being archived to the extent that other people can share in the merriment of it? It's a lot easier to keep a comic book than, you know, actual Bristol boards and actual artwork. So it kind of makes me wonder where they were going with that particular topic for most of their video. Now, I still have to finish it out before I could get the final bottom line that they was talking about. But in the majority of that aspect here, it's like, no, collectors are not really poor. You know, we do get frugal with certain things. And I'm saying frugal, I mean, There's a lot of, I hate to say it, there are a lot of cheap mofos out there that will not pay what a book is worth and will try to talk anybody and everything and anybody and everything down to get let's just say like an Amazing Spider-Man 300 for like a penny. Some people may have that gift for gab to do it. A lot of people don't. And even to that degree, I don't even consider Amazing Spider-Man 300 to be that valuable of a book because there's just too many of them out there. It's just the popularity of it, and because that is a popular book and everybody is seeking it, just like the whole thing about supply and demand. The supply is plentiful, but the demand from the people make it the way that it is. Should it be a book that's in the thousands? No. Maybe in the hundreds, maybe, but not in the thousands like it has been over the last couple of years. And that ebb and flow of those who do this for investing, it to me, it's like the bubble that they're play on is just too much of a gamble. There's some people that understand about taking loss, but for those who don't understand the aspect of taking a loss and taking a loss on a book or several books just to have one big gain for another, it's a dangerous teeter-tottering effect that you have to kind of like balance out here. You might make out good with investing in one book and then the next 10 maybe bust, but because you made out good for that one book, it covers the bust for those other 20. And that's a very, very, like I said, it's a dangerous game when it comes to financing and investing in that aspect here. Not to say don't do it, but I know there's a lot of people that make great money doing that, but it's just not for me, because you have to look at trends 24/7. You have to be on the ball and on the money, knowing when it hits this type of a peak, get rid of it, make your money before you could then reinvest that money into a different book. It's just a lot of stuff that you just have to take in consideration here. But to say that collectors are poor, I just feel like that's just clickbait. It was a clickbait title, and it's just not something that's indicative to what we do as comic book collectors or as collectors in the community of comics here. I don't think we're poor. We might act poor. We might display poor behavior, but we're not poor. Not by no means here. But like I said, they're pretty much highlighting, and Swagger House are pretty much highlighting what somebody else ranted about. And the rant may not be 100% fair, but I understand the plight. I understand where they're going with it, why they're going with it, and how they were going with it, but it's not justifiable. It really not. It's just more along the line that the community as a whole, and when I say the community, I talk about the whole collecting community of comics. We're so diverse and splintered that the rant is really targeting more towards those investors and flippers more so than the community as a whole here. And you could be mad. Yeah, rant sickle. Yep. And I'm not even ranting. I'm just up here. It's like, it's just not accurate. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it just is what it is. We're not poor. Because if we were poor, we wouldn't be able to afford the $30, $40, $50 variant covers that we're paying for right now. We wouldn't be able to go out and buy the 9.8 of like Amazing Spider-Man 300 and pay the thousands of dollars for that. If we really was that poor, nobody would be trying to release the Action Comics #1 and getting, millions of dollars for that. As a community, we're not poor. Individuals, maybe. But to say that collectors are poor in the way that this guy tried to rant is very inaccurate. It's very inaccurate. Nevertheless, it is what it is here. And then I think shout outs to Mint Hunter, because he talks about the whole thing about FOMO again. And I'm glad that people are still talking about FOMO. The fear of missing out on books should not be the catalyst for a lot of titles that still have not been proven here. And he was looking at what was the two that from Image that came out? Dork, and I forgot what the other one was. Those number one came out, and then less than a week later, they were like $25 and $30 a pop just for the A cover. And to me, it's like, okay, it's popular. They probably did not print enough copies for the massive influx for people trying to buy it. But again, with the way that publishers are now limiting those print runs for number ones initially, it's kind of like I said, it's just one of those, that FOMO thing, because he brought it up with Absolute Batman. Nobody expected Absolute Batman, number one A cover to be doing what it did. And then the other thing that had been happening here with the sketch cover variants of Absolute Batman, people taking off the sketch covers and then submitting them into CGC just because the A cover is as valuable as it is. And people were asking, it's like, are they looking at to see if there was any cardstock residue on the staples and all this other stuff when they removed the cardstock? And then is there going to be another uptick of people just selling just the cardstock blank cover as a separate a la carte thing? But the whole thing about the FOMO is that people will try anything and everything to make a book more valuable than what it is before its time. We don't know if these two series are going to be here for the long haul. And if they're not here for the long haul, we don't know how popular it's going to be 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now, 20 years from now. It might be a $50 book, today, but it might be in a dollar bin, 2 years from now. You never know. And the way people are playing the game of investment, you might go and end up taking a big loss on it. But people's emotion about possibly missing out on a big seller comes into play, and it just doesn't make any sense here. And it doesn't make sense in this aspect of, okay, I missed the A cover for this number one, but I might have a B or a C cover. Now, unless you are a flipper, or unless you are a local comic book store, or you're an online outlet to some degree, I get it. You want to get those, the A covers and make certain that you make your money off of it. I understand that. But as collectors, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter until we get maybe 5 years down the road where you can see if the popularity is still there. Because what truly happens when a book reaches its pinnacle too fast, too quickly, and then 6 months down the line, it's like, oh, I could have sworn that this was like a $50 to a $200 book, and then next thing you know, it's back down to cover price. When you treat comics as an investment or a stock, it is what it is. It's like the popularity and the sustainability of the series always going to come into play, and you don't know what you're getting into just based upon a number one. You have to look at if the series is popular enough, if the fan base is still buying these books. Does this book have a true following? If it does, how many issues are being sold and bought? And again, you got what is it? Comic Con as one source here, if it's still running and everything to that magnitude here. Yeah, the first 20 issues were insane. Yeah. Like, yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man number one. Yeah. But you have to think about it. When Ultimate Spider-Man came out back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was very popular. It was so popular that it was just like it was beyond belief here. And even those issues still command a little bit of money. I mean, it's not like, you have to pay like, $50 a pop for each book. You can still get some for like $5 a pop. That's not that bad of a thing. But during its height of its popularity, oh goodness, you missed getting it out there on New Comic Book Day. You're going to be paying some big money just to recover it within that first couple of weeks here. Right about now, not so much. But then again, there's not, as we go along in years, the number of available copies do go down here. I don't think it's down far enough, or at least with Ultimate Spider-Man, where you have to have any type of FOMO. But again, that's because the fan base for Absolute Batman, it is what it is. Because again, I was up here, hoping that, I know Batman fans are going to buy Batman. Where they did Ultimate Absolute Wonder Woman, I was not expecting the response for Absolute Wonder Woman to do as well as it did. Now, a lot of people really hope that the Absolute Universe, at least Absolute Batman, the people who are Absolute Batman, is hoping that Absolute Universe stays as is. I like Absolute Wonder Woman because I think that's a better Wonder Woman title than what Tom King is producing as of right now. But the major thing here is because of the FOMO that was caused from issue number 1, the FOMO that was caused by the first appearance of the Joker in this series, and I forgot what the other key issue that came out, and people were just having FOMO over it. It is what it is here. Yep, I mean, it's not that it's not overly funny or anything to that magnitude, but it's just the fact of the matter. It's just like, this day and age, FOMO is getting to a lot of people. It's just like they'll find out, oh, this is popular, and they want to buy into it, not necessarily because of the love of the character or anything to that magnitude. They just look at the financial aspect of it. And the only thing I have to say for those that do it that way is just caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. You're on a finite, you're traveling a finite curve in each and every step that you take here. So if you're not in it for the long haul to really bolster your collection and be a fan for life, then you have to pay attention to all the trends and everything and know when to get in and know when to get out. It's not easy being a flipper. It's not easy being a comic book store. It's not easy being a reseller. It's nowhere possible. It's nowhere possible for those entities to have that magic cap to put on to know, oh, I'm going to invest heavily in this title because I know people are going to buy it and I could flip it at a premium. Make sure I get them graded and flip it at a premium. Nobody has that knowledge here. Nobody has that magical Nostradamus foresight in that aspect here. Because again, nobody expected Absolute Batman to take off the way that it did, and nobody expected like Dork and I forgot what the other one to take off like the way it did. And to be quite honest, the two Image titles were not even on my radar. I knew Image came out with a new book, but those two books were not on my radar. Those two books I had no interest in those books, but yet we see those books skyrocket because a lot of people found out about those books. It has been heavily hyped up after a few rabid fans start talking about it. And then it got talked up by investors because those rabid fans were talking so much about it, and it got so much hype that people started investing in it. And you're up here wondering why FOMO is such a thing here. Because again, when we start hyping up certain books and everything, it may catch people attention enough where they buy into it. Is that a bad thing? No, never a bad thing. But if you're buying solely for investment purposes or financial purposes, then you have to be a little bit more careful. Oh, oh, she's saying hi. so that's what that was going on there. So Elaine is saying hi to Parallax here, aka Leia. So they're saying hi to one another here, and that's part of the community that we call here at from the Desolate Small Press Publishers. Like this show is really an interactive show for you guys here to get a creator slash publisher opinion on a lot of the stuff that's happening in our community. But that's the way I look at it. It's not, FOMO is never a bad thing. It's just why you purchasing something during that FOMO period is where I question here. It's like, are you just buying it because it's just the hype behind it? Or are you buying it because you're actually curious about the story and everything here? I bought into some books over FOMO, and then I read them and been like, it wasn't something that I like. I'm not going to name books here, but Ninja Fuck, yeah. I'm not going to name books, but it is what it is. Now, some people like the stuff, and some people like these books, and other people don't. But the thing about it is sustainability. It's about building up that fan base where that title is sustainable here. Now, I kind of wish that some titles would come back, but there was some great stories that have been told over the last decade or so that I just kind of wish that they would do like another volume of it, like 8 Billion Genies. I wish they would do like another volume of it. I wish that there was going to be some other type of side story for Do a Powerbomb. Those are the types of stories that catch people's attention when they really sit down and read it. Other stories that I kind of wish that they would do more of that type. Like there was a story called Daisy through I believe it was through Dark Horse that did Daisy. That's another one that even though it was kind of built up to be more horror like, it was more of a how can I say it, a thriller dealing with religion, and it got into the aspect of all the different angels that have been here on Earth and everything, in the war that and some of the stuff that happened in the past, and why certain people do what they do. Those are types of stories that needs to be hyped up a little bit more to keep that aspect here. Yep, it did. Yes, Daisy was a good series to me. That was a good 5-issue series here, and I kind of wish that they would expand upon more of that universe, because that universe was quite interesting. To have like angels and stuff that still is here on the earth, living amongst the people and everything, and people were forming cults and everything, dealing with the aspect of what had happened in a previous war. It was interesting. Oh, she can't see Lane again. It's YouTube. Yeah, it's YouTube that's happening. It's no major big deal as far as that is concerned here. But that's the type of stuff that I'm really trying to get the community back into looking at here. And it makes me wonder, it's like, have we fractured enough where the greater people who are out here collecting are not reading anymore? They're collecting based upon art. They're collecting based upon fiduciary. Because those of us who are collecting based upon reading and liking what we like, we come back and revisit some of these stories, and you can't get us to shut up about the stories. You really can't. No, because again, I haven't been out here on YouTube all that much as of right now. So I didn't break it. No, I did not break it here. And Elaine is saying that she's on her phone here. So that, it is what it is. I just don't know. I just don't know in that aspect here. But anyway, that's kind of like the aspect that I'm taking, taking a look at what people are truly saying here. Now, one person I know that I haven't seen on the YouTube as much is like Reggie Collects. Reggie Collects to me is one of the better channels here, and he has a great community of collectors in his chat and everything, and it's a very positive chat as well. And I just kind of wish that he had free time to do more live videos than anything else. I know, with his busy schedule, with his 9 to 5 and everything, that he hasn't really been doing much here, but it is good here. Yep. So they're laughing about cooties and whatnot. So that's okay. But those, it just, when I look at what people talk about in our community, it just makes me wonder, you know, as as much as we are inclusive in this community, a lot of people want to complain about how it's getting ruined. And that's like, I don't see how it's getting ruined. It's just like it's growing apart from one another. It's like the camp that they want to be in is splintering off and trying to form its own little thing within the community. And that's perfectly fine. But the thing about it is there's room at the table for everybody. We all love this genre for some type of reason, one way or the other. We're not always going to agree that what Marvel is doing is correct or what DC doing is correct or this writer is better than that writer. That's going to, that's fun debate. That's fun debate that we can't really, go overboard and take seriously. But when it comes back down to people saying, "Oh, it ruined my childhood. It's ruining what we hold near and dear." It's like you can't really say that. You can, but you can't. And the reason I say you can, but you can is like it's your opinion. Have your opinion. But if you're going to take that opinion, back it up with some facts here. And a lot of times, when you get into that aspect when it becomes fair debate, some people don't like facts. Some people don't like the statistics and numbers that goes along with it. Like, for example, people would say that the Yara Flora Wonder Girl was a bust because it wasn't selling. That's a falsehood. It was selling very well. And what ended up happening for that character to fall off was a couple of things that was happening with DC, and the simple fact that that the speculators and those who were covering Yara Flora during the time was blaming the fact that the whole thing about the TV show for Yara Flora fell through with the CW. And I'm up here, it's like that has nothing to do with it. When I started doing my true digging, it was more along the lines with the way that they did the rotation of creative talent on books at DC. And with Jonelle Jones being the way that she is, the rotating talent was not sufficient enough to maintain that book. That's the reason why it only went 7 issues. Not just it really went 7 issues. It went 7 issues right into a mini series that had 2 issues to keep her into the fold of the Wonder Woman family lore. And she still is a part of Wonder Woman family lore, even to this day. She just doesn't have her own title anymore, which is kind of sad. But she was a sustainable character. But because of the way that the publisher did what they did, the book failed. That's one of the few examples where that happens here. And people could look at titles that they love and try to figure out why the book got canceled. And it's like I came through comic books during a time where you had people like Greg Pak talk about I believe it was Storm Volume 2 during the Greg Pak era, where Greg Pak was pleading with people on Twitter. They're not giving this title a chance that they're up here already talking about canceling it because it didn't get to 25,000 units a month after issue number 2 or 3. I saw the exact same thing happen with what was it? Black Panther and the Crew that went 6 issues. And then when you really start doing the digging, a lot of it really wasn't based upon sales solely. It was based upon the creative teams and how fast they could turn out the product. And for some reason, if that product is not being done on a timely fashion, publishers don't have time. They don't have time and the energy to waste the money here. Yeah, it slowed down in sales, and they made her character bad. Well, they didn't make her character bad. The production of it was too slow. It wasn't on a consistent monthly basis. It's like the best way I could describe it here is like let's take since I'm picking on Wonder Woman, let's stick with Wonder Woman. Let's say Tom King's Wonder Woman issues always gets released on the second Wednesday of each and every month. So second Wednesday of April, you got a brand new Wonder Woman coming out. May, second Wednesday in May, same thing. Now let's say there's a problem with the creative staff where all of a sudden now it going for after May, it's like it came out on the fourth Wednesday of June, then the first Wednesday in July, and then it kind of missed August, and then now you got second Wednesday in September and a shortened version of another issue that fourth Wednesday in September. That shows instability of the creative staff that they cannot get a monthly issue out consistently. That would happen with Wonder Girl, and because of that, sales kind of dropped. It wasn't like they went below a 25,000 per unit threshold. It was like 40,000, 30,000, and then it leveled off at 25,000 because it was so inconsistent. People were still looking for it, but because it was not being consistently done on where you could count on it, it's like third Wednesday of the month, I'm getting my Spider-Man. When it got to that point where it can't be counted on, publishers would be ready to pull it because it is what it is here. And I do agree, the sales did kind of slow down, but they tapered off. If you ever looked at Comic-Con, they kind of tapered off. And it kind of flatlined. And as long as it's flatlined, that means that you have stability there. But it was more along the line they couldn't keep up with the schedule because people were up here saying, when you constantly look for a particular book on a particular Wednesday, because that's just the way the schedule is set up, that also becomes a problem too here. Pacific and Mumblers. Trinity, they just need to develop. They just need to develop Elizabeth. They really do need to develop Elizabeth as a whole here. Her as a teen/adult, boring as hell. Her as a kid, I kind of like the kid Trinity stories, and not the Elizabeth as a child with Jonathan and Damien. Those were interesting stories, but her as an adult is boring. She has no likable qualities whatsoever, and they're trying to hype her up more than what they need to do is bring back Yara. Yara was a nice little fit to there for the Wonder Woman universe as opposed to Elizabeth. And then the whole thing about seeing Elizabeth being more like Diana in a lot of aspects is because I read a lot of the Trinity stories that they came out so far. And even Diana had to chuckle. It's like, yeah, I went through the same thing with Hippolyta and everything. So she was seeing a lot of herself in Elizabeth, but it's not being told well enough to make you like Elizabeth as a character. I'm sorry. Whoever is, whoever's doing the writing for Elizabeth, aka Trinity, you're not doing a good job. She's not a likable character. Also, I still feel that they're dropping the ball with Nubia to a certain degree, but then again, they're redeveloping her into what she's supposed to be as for Queen of Themyscira at this point. But anyway, people, we're almost at the end of the hour here. And like I said, I didn't have much to talk about today. I'm pretty much here for you. If you got any more controversial topics and everything, let's go ahead and talk about it right now. Unless you guys are just not feeling the way that I've been feeling, because I've been up under a lot of stress and been having to deal with a lot of other things here on the outside, dealing with family and dealing with C2E2. So I'm not as well prepared as I usually be for either ranting or doing all the other stuff that normally happens for this show here. But I do thank you guys for watching. I do thank those who watch the replays and comment and like and subscribe and do all those perfect things here. It's like, nah, I just need some sleep. You and me both. You and me both. I understand about the whole sleep aspect here. But I do thank everybody who come out, whether you are on our mailing list, where you're watching from the desk live or after the fact. I appreciate each and every one of you here. I appreciate all the new people that come in to say hi. I appreciate you guys, because I want you guys to have a platform where you could vocalize a lot of things here. And we're up for free debate here. I'm not right. Sometimes I actually am very, very wrong. And I will be willing to admit that as a whole here. There's Aaron. Aaron, I'm just finishing up here as of right now. All right, Elaine, have a good evening. Yeah, I'm just finishing up here because I show all the brand new comics here, and this Saturday has been one of those Saturdays where it's just like I'm going to make it through the show at least for at least 1 hour, unless somebody has a topic or something that they want to discuss, and we take it on from there. But thank you so much here. But it's just one of those things where I talked about the problem with FOMO coming back in, and then I think Swaggerhouse talked about the one guy that was saying that collectors are poor. I was like, no, we're not poor. It's just the community is just different now. Oh, no major worries here either. So on that note, I'm going to let you guys have the rest of your Saturday back here. Don't forget that Cheap Comic Collector is on right now. You might want to drop over to his channel, pick up some great books for $3 and less. Until next week, live life, grow, and be well. And we are out of here. And Leia saying hi to Aaron here. So live life, grow, and be well. We are out of here for the week here. Thank you for watching. Make certain that you comment if you have questions and everything, and especially if you got a topic that you want me to talk about. Leave that comment. I do respond back, and I do try to do my best to serve you guys as a whole here. So until next week, this is Joe, and we are